What's up, Solar Warriors? Today is Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. My name is Jarrett McAllister, the virtual Solar Pro. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button, like the video, share this with your fellow solopreneurs because they need the help. We have an exciting training for you this Tuesday with my man, Jonathan Charles Wilson, one of my favorite people in the solar industry. He's going to be crushing this training for you. But before we do, I got to say what's up to my co-host, Mr. Tom Cotter. Tommy, brother
Hey,
man, how are
good
you?
morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm excited about this. I took the strength test as well. I know a lot of you got that audiobook that came with the free Gallup test that Jonathan's going to talk about here in a little bit. But exciting stuff. I'm analytical, so I love this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I took the test and broke it. Just too many strengths, didn't know what to do with all of it. Said cannot compute. Just joking. Haven't taken it yet, but I'll probably take it after this training. So let's get right into it. But let's first start off with some success stories. So we want to hear from you. We want to hear about your success, helping homeowners, building a team, overcoming adversity. Throw it in the chat. Raise your hand. What do y'all got? Do not be shy, because we do not move on until we hear about all your great successes. So, Mr. John Bobness, when I was talking about success, my eyes naturally came onto your Zoom screen because you crush it, brother. You absolutely crush it. And I'm not shocked. And then you were the first hand to be raised. So I'm either psychic or just can see patterns. What's up, brother? How are you?
No, I was just trying to get the mosquito off my screen. And no, I'm just kidding, man. Nice to talk to you, Jarrett McAllister. Look at this all-star cast here. Marisa Flesher, that beautiful smile. Look at that. Everybody waved. Marisa, hello. All right, guys. Hey, Tom, how you doing? All right, everybody. Having a really good week already, even though it's only Tuesday. Knocked some doors yesterday when I had another credit fail. So you got to turn those lemons into lemonade, right? And then got a bill immediately. And then they said, well, because you're doing this, because I keep telling people I'm going to Impact Journey, whether I'm going or not, I keep telling them that. And so what's cool is they go, well, I have a friend that might be interested, who knows, and if it will help you and help this mission you're on, let's do that too. So they referred me to somebody immediately. I have an appointment with them later on today, so I'm really excited about all that. And if you guys are anywhere near San Diego area, Carlsbad area this Saturday, you got to go down and see what's happening down there. And if you happen to be anywhere in the LA area, you have to come see me in Burbank, because we have some crazy value that we're bringing. There's somebody that's doing all kinds of personal development training and stuff. Brian Kim is also going to be talking about some of the stuff from behind the scenes that you wouldn't know about SunPower and other people that were major players in the solar world and how things are changing. So got a lot of cool live events coming up, and I'm just excited to be part of this family. Thank you guys for having me on, and we'll see you on Saturday, either in LA and Burbank or down in Carlsbad.
Great job, John. Thank you very much. And hey, really quick, you mentioned failed credit. It's no secret, tough economy. People are going through it. There's a lot of debt. People are living off of credit cards. It's not easy, right? For some. A while back, months back, Jordan Shaw introduced us to a lady named Tiffany Cross from Credit Evolve, who was helping homeowners fix their credit or boosting their credit scores. And she's helped out some of my clients. Very reasonable. They're on it too. If you drop them a lead, and they'll keep you in the loop what's going on with that. I'm going to go ahead and drop her information in the chat. If you talk to her, tell her Jarrett McAllister sent you over, and yeah, hopefully help turn those bad credits into good paper here. So just drop that information in chat. Great job, John. All right. Next up, we have Tracy Canoni, another all-star on the team. What's up, Tracy?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Just got another win. I had one of my soccer family that finally they pulled the trigger and they got another contract. So this is 5 this month for me, which is a record breaking because I've never had 5 in 1 month before. So also my BNI group has been so helpful. Everyone just reach out to your BNI group, not only your group, but go to your sister chapters, because I've reached out to a few and they are just over willing to help me to go on this impact journey. I have 3 more proposals in the next 2 days, and this is all from my BNI leads. So definitely keep reaching out. People love the impact journey. Keep promoting it, and yeah, let's go.
Love it. Love it. And yes, promoting that impact journey, talking about it, making it part of your presentation, showing the culture that Powur represents, letting them know it starts at the top with the leadership, Jonathan Budd, our CEO, and it just, oozes through our entire company. We're not just driven by profit shares or profits and, shareholders, that we truly are trying to make an impact, and that you want to be a part of this journey. It's, may not be the reason they go solar, but it could be the reason why they go solar now instead of thinking about it for a month, is to help you out. And great job, Tracy. Five contracts in a month. I mean, we're just barely over halfway through, is incredible. So that's, your all-star status. Great job. Jonathan Wilson, you have your hand raised. You're going to have like 40 minutes to talk. So what do you got as far as success going on?
Hey, real quick, actually, this one's not about me, but I wanted to shout out one of my new seated sellers in my enterprise. His name is Jared Ray. I sold solar with this gentleman back in 2018 through 2020 with Vivint Solar, later Sunrun Solar. And this guy just came on and closed his first deal. So check out the stats. 60 kW system in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with 4 Tesla Powerwall 3s, cash system, $230,000. I actually have Synectric Solar, who was referred to me by Joel Gossett, to go out, and they're surveying the house today at 3 p.m. So congrats on that, mega deal for your first deal, Jared. Looking forward to your success on this team.
Woo! Bringing the thunder, man. Watch out now. That's massive. Great job there. And good thing it was a cash deal, because you ain't getting funded for that. So no, great job, buddy. And then Aleu, what do you got? Good to see you.
Last week I shared that I signed up an HOA community. And so I've got 2 brand new signed contracts, neighbors about 50 feet away, and we'll probably have 2 more by Sunday. So it's already working. But
Leu, can I ask, do you have any strategies of going to the HOA meeting, passing out flyers, setting up a booth to attack that HOA complex?
I did it all over the last 4 years. The nice thing is I had a friend who's also a neighbor, golfing buddy, who was on the board last year. So we rewrote the policy so that it looked like the Solar Rights Act of California. And so, it was a lot of work. And yeah, we got the first 2, probably have 2 more by Sunday. And they're lining up.
Love it. Great job, Aleu. Hey, hard work pays off. And as we all know in the solar industry, sometimes you get immediate wins, but really you're setting the groundwork for your future self, which greatly thanks you for putting in all that hard work. So good job, brother. Good to see that. And thank you, everybody, for sharing your success stories this week. Let's go ahead and move this along. Tommy, do you have a wise words of wisdom quote, something that's going to blow our minds and change our futures?
No, but I have a quote.
All right.
So it's from Muhammad Ali. And he said, "The only hope lies in the power of our love, generosity, tolerance, and understanding, and our commitment to making the world a better place for all." Just want to throw this out there. We talk about, impact journey, prosperity homes. There's a lot of organizations in our industry that do a lot of good. There's a solar solar nonprofit, that helps people in Haiti as well. That's out there. But I just want you to think about, our industry is on an uptick right now from a valley that we hit. We've got this Summer of Champions contest that's going on with, people making thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars on top of their regular commission. So 2 thoughts about what's going on as many of us are, making more and more money in the industry is, think about how you're giving back. with your dollars, yes, but maybe also with your time. There's volunteermatch.org is a website where you can find, local soup kitchens to volunteer at, or there's tons and tons of nonprofits on there where you can actually go and work alongside other people in the community. So there's just so much that you could be doing as far as giving back. And when you're giving, that actually changes you, right? It's kind of like prayer. And we think of prayer as for other people, but prayer, meditation actually changes us first. So just think about your time, your money, and how you're investing in other people and giving back to other people. One tool that I recently found that is really interesting is Daffy.org, just like Daffy Duck, but Daffy.org. I think it's from the same guy that started Wealthfront, that some of us are earning 5 or 5.5% back on our money. But Daffy is interesting because you can, let's say you have a quarter or a year where your income is really high and you're going to get hit with more taxes. You can actually make a donation into Daffy that gives you tax benefits when you make that donation, but you don't actually have to pay that out until you want to. So you could potentially make all of your donations into Daffy for 1 quarter or for 1 year for the next 5 years that you're going to make to nonprofits, you get a tax benefit. And also in Daffy, it's like investing into a 401k. So it's like a 401k for your donation. So you're earning returns on that money up until you disperse it to whatever nonprofit you want, anywhere. So just some thoughts on kind of maximizing your givings, but also, how are you investing back into people's lives and organizations in your community, and also with your money that you're giving. Back to you, Jared.
Thank you, Tom. That was very heartful and resonates extremely well with me and a lot of people. You're getting compliments in the chat for that. I will say, I'll just keep it short, man. There's no better gift that you can give to yourself than the gift of giving to others. And it is so true. So I appreciate that, brother. All right, let's highlight an event. And I think we were kind of talking about this a little bit earlier, but let's talk about this Saturday. We have a huge event live. Tom, do you have all the details? Can you pull that up?
Yeah, it'll take me a second here, but it's Powur World. And I think that one of the people that we want to have talk, if he's not on the phone right now, is David Steele, just to talk about what's happening just real quick at headquarters with
Solar Saturday, not Powur World. Powur World.
Powur Day.
Sorry, Powur Day.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can actually speak to it, guys, because I'll be there with Jonathan Wilson and David Steele. And it's an opportunity to go to headquarters and see the 360 virtual stage. Irene is going to be there. Maybe some other people will pop in. And so Powur Day, I put it in the chat. You can go to powur.solar/powur-day. You can also find this on Powur Calendar as well. There's going to be like 4 or 5 events around the country that you can attend. We need more, to be honest. And it's going to start off usually 9 a.m. Pacific local time. And you can register, network, and by 9:30, we're going to do a business presentation. And then we're going to jump into training till about 12 noon. So David Steele's going to train. I'll help do the business presentation or train. But if you're at headquarters this Saturday, Jonathan Wilson, who's been in solar 11 years, I'll tee him up here in a minute. He teaches how to make a 6-figure, multiple 6-figure referral-based business that people have paid hundreds of dollars for. And so he's going to be training live in person from that event. So if you want to try to attend a local Powur Day, if you can drive down, fly down to headquarters, come hang out with us. It's going on this Saturday.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that event. And if you can make it, do it. And it's an opportunity to rub shoulders with some leaders and check out headquarters and get some killer content for your socials. So good stuff. Well, Jonathan, you said you're going to tee up our next guest. Why don't you go ahead and do it?
Let's do this. I got two things first, real quick, guys. I was running some errands here, but just some quick shout outs if you haven't done it already today. But Joel Gossett, Rhino, Raj, Leonardo, Jimmy, all with lots and lots of personal sales, just 20 days, 19 days into the month. We look at recruiting, TST team with Spencer, Zach, Mike, Jordan Shaw, Andre here. They're crushing it. Jesse, man, TST under the leadership of Spencer and Zach and Jordan Shaw and all those guys are crushing it. And then our tier 3 mentors, shout out to a lot of people on this team, on this call: Owen Carey, Jordan Shaw, Cynthia, Mohammed, Jeffrey, Ishmael, Leonard, Carlos, Drew, Francis. Jarrett's always on this list. I don't know. You'll get up there in the next 10 days.
I was out riding my Harley for 2 weeks.
That's
so
right. That's
I'll be
right.
back.
You were celebrating your marriage. And then just real quick, guys, look at the contest, the summer sales contest. You only need 12 points to make hundreds or thousands of dollars extra. The top 30 people here are going to Mexico, work hard, play hard trip. Joel is making $32,000 in addition to his commissions, in addition to possibly winning a car. And so just big shout out to all the names here. Joseph Marticek, who will be helping on the door knocking panel at Powur World on stage in Florida. Shout out to Joseph and all the other amazing people here. John Wilson here making thousands of dollars extra. Again, Jordan Shaw, Nick Messenger, Bill. There's so many of you guys on here, to be honest. Malia, crushing it. Brian Oates, Owen Carey, Ubaldo. So make sure to check out the leaderboard. Shoot for those 12 points, guys. There's 10 days left. It's only a few personal deals. Gets you extra money in this contest. And then last thing I have, of course, we all got our Monday newsletter here yesterday towards the evening time period. So read what Jonathan Budd, our CEO, has to say, some new enhancements to knowledge base. Please do me a favor and go vote for your People's Choice Awards. I know a few of you guys are nominating each other. You can nominate someone for impact, inspiration, culture, a coach, and a trailblazer. So please nominate anyone you feel is entitled to this award, which will be recognized in Florida. Do me that favor if you can. And then one other favor is Andrea Budd Award. Very, very special award. Only 2 people are honored with this every year. I made my vote yesterday for the field leader. And then if you know anyone in corporate, you know, Emily Budd, Rachel McDonald, Megan Callahan, those are 3 people that if they have helped you, you could vote for a corporate member and a field member. So please, People's Choice Award, Andrea Budd Award, do me that favor today, and I will love you forever. All right, cool. So with that said, now that we know the events and some updates, success stories, I'm really excited about today's training. You know, I asked ChatGPT, why should a solar sales team take time to work on their Strengths Finder and a Gallup organization Strengths Finder and poll to know themselves better and their team and their strengths in sales and life and relationships? And ChatGPT said, to maximize individual strengths, increase performance, job satisfaction, improving team dynamics, complementary skill sets, conflict reduction, enhanced sales strategy, targeted sales approach, adaptability in sales, personal development growth, culture alignment, motivation, and building a resilient team. Those are just a few things when we focus in on today's training on strengths and getting to know ourselves better, doing some inner work, instead of being in the business, working on ourselves. So I'm pumped about today. And the speaker is a special friend of mine. Some of you know that Jonathan Charles Wilson sold my parents solar about 10, 11 years ago, because I was only 2 months in the industry and Solar City was not really doing cash. It was $6 a watt cash price. And Jonathan beat me by like $15,000. And so my parents signed up with him 10 years ago. And he's just a big time leader in the industry. He was one of the top names in Sunrun. He's building a team here. And obviously he's kicking butt, taking names and helping out as a leader right out the gate. So super excited. And Jonathan, by the way, he has done a lot of inner work. He has coached others. He really hones into strengths and personalities, emotional intelligence. This guy's super sharp. So Jonathan, I'm passing the mic off to you. And I know a few of us like Jarrett and others here feel the same. So floor is yours, my friend.
Hey, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that. Yeah, super excited to deliver some value today. This is one of many personal development topics that I'm very passionate about, and wish we had more time, but in the next 30 minutes, my commitment to you guys is to deliver maximum value and apply this stuff to your business, maybe a little bit of personal stuff as well. You'll see some carryover, but definitely focusing on your business, how to apply your strengths to your business as a leader as well. And so what we're going to do today is I'm going to share a little intro story. We're going to go into what strengths are, and then we're going to highlight some of the leaders on our team, just so we can kind of understand, what makes each of us unique in our strengths and in our leadership. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and kick off with just a moment in my life. So I ended up waking up one night in the middle of the night at the age of 5 and had excruciating pain in my body. So bad that for the first time in my life, I prayed to God, prayed to the universe, prayed for anyone and anything to help me out of the excruciating, on fire feeling. My entire body felt like it was on fire from the inside out. And at that time, I was in my bed, and it took for what seemed like forever just to get out, crawl from my bedroom to the other end of the trailer park where my parents' room was to get help. And doorbell ring. Interesting. I'll get that. I'll just let that go. It's probably delivery or something. But anyways, so
Probably someone trying to sell you solar.
Door knockers.
So I end up getting help, get to the hospital. My parents, I get diagnosed by a rheumatologist with having a severe and rare form of juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. Actually, give me one sec. They got person ring the doorbell a second time. Give me one sec.
If it's a solar salesperson,
That would be epic.
go recruit him. Go recruit him right now.
Hey, real quick, while he's doing this, I just want to share something with you in the chat. A couple months ago, I actually interviewed Jonathan Charles Wilson on my podcast, and it was an epic episode. People got tremendous value out of it. I'm going to go ahead and drop that link in the chat. So if you do want to check out that podcast with Jonathan Wilson, it's well worth your time. So anyways, he's back. Who was it? What were they selling?
It was actually a delivery for a new Anchor Solix portable battery system, which I'm a huge nerd, a tech guy. That's a whole other story, but I appreciate the shout out, Jarrett. And yeah, just to kind of pick up the story here. So I ended up getting diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, which then began a period of 15 months, which I would describe as being cast into the eternal lake of fire, being abandoned by God and love. And that was my entry into consciousness at the age of 5. I was having 107-degree temperatures on a weekly basis. I was having severe hallucinations and nightmares, and it literally felt like I was in hell. I was studied by rheumatologists. They would, give me shots of prednisone. I still have white lab coat syndrome to this day, and I have a severe phobia of needles from that traumatic time in my life. And by the grace of God, it went away. After 15 months, my body went into a spontaneous remission, and here I am today. And the reason I share this, among many things, is really just to kind of illustrate that we all go through tough times, challenging times. I'll talk about some of my strengths today, kind of how that shaped who I am as a person. Many of you guys have your own, significant emotional events, things that, we call it significant emotional events, things that help you see and have a different perspective for the rest of your life. And so that was one of the most pivotal, life-changing times in my life. It led me to be who I am today, and really somebody who is focused on solving problems. We were joking about the biohacking stuff at the beginning of the call. I got into that stuff at a very young age. Got into door knocking at the age of 13 with my uncle Kenny, doing address painting door to door. Knocked over 10,000 doors before I even graduated high school. And I thought, I didn't even know that was a career. I just did that because I just wanted to make some extra cash. And quickly found out after I got into college that it wasn't for me. Dropped out of college, became an entrepreneur, and did a couple things in the beginning, gutter cleaning business, some other stuff, but ultimately ended up at the age of 20 in the green energy space as an energy auditor. Tested thousands of homes with a BPI analyst, building analyst certification. Learned a ton, got into the consulting and sales side pretty quick, but that's kind of a brief summary of kind of, who I am and what I'm here to bring. And so one of the things about me is that I'm very analytical. I think Tommy mentioned at the beginning, you love this kind of stuff because you just love to analyze and understand people. This stuff is amazing. I could talk about this stuff for hours. I wish we had some more time to workshop, but what I'm going to do here in just a second is share my screen and jump into kind of first, what is a strength, right? And really applying this to yourself and how that's going to apply to your business. And then we're going to highlight some of the leaders and have them share how they utilize some of their strengths in their business. And then also some ideas for application so you guys can start implementing these things as well. So as we say, it's better to double down on your strengths than necessarily try to improve weaknesses. There's a lot of good psychology and research done on that. Obviously, Gallup, huge research and polling company. They've studied this test. Actually, millions of people have taken the Strengths Finder, so they have really good data on this. And so we'll jump in right here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. Okay, can you guys see that?
Looks
Okay,
good.
cool. Fantastic. So welcome to Dr. Charles Xavier's School for Mutants. So Charles is my middle name, and I thought this would be a good anchor for the training. So I don't know about you guys, but between Marvel and DC, I've always kind of preferred the anti-hero story over the hero story. Real quick in the chat, or with the show of hands, who can relate? I found that, people that have, mutations or issues or challenges, I guess probably related to that because of my story, always feeling as a kid kind of, weird, different, out of place. And then having some of that weird, I found out later genetic mutations with, my connective tissues and having some, certain things there. And so one of the things that Dr. X does is he has this device that you see him wearing on his head there called Cerebro. So for all of you guys who aren't nerds like me, Cerebro basically is a device that helps enhance his psychic abilities, Dr. Xavier's abilities to have telepathy, communicate with other mutants, and identify other mutants. And so that's a superpower I feel like I've been able to develop in my time, is to help identify what other people's kind of superhuman strengths are, what their abilities are. And so that's what we're going to get into today. So if you haven't taken the test, at the end, I'm going to invite you to take this test. I've already had about a dozen or so people on our team send me those results, and I love it. I'm happy to do even a one-on-one and kind of give you some ideas for how to implement these things, and give you that little telepathic whisper in your ear from Mr. Jonathan Charles Wilson here. So anyways, here's a couple other strengths that you see listed here. I don't know about you guys, but I love the Olympics. Some people don't really watch it too much. I was up 2-3 a.m. watching replays every single night for a couple of weeks. My sleep was messed up. My Oura Ring sleep scores were through the floor. But it was worth it for me because I've always been intrigued by what is it that makes people perform at the edge or at the fringe of human potential. And so, among all the different tests that there are, you've got the Myers-Briggs, you've got Enneagram, you've got, Strengths Finder, Disc Profile. I mean, I've done all of them pretty much at this point, and happy to give more resources there. But today we're going to focus in on team strengths. So we have it translated in multiple languages here. If anyone speaks that, I don't know if that's Mandarin or what that is, but it was the best picture I could find. So when it comes to strengths, really, what is a strength? Let me define that first. So how Dr. Clifton describes a strength is essentially it's an aptitude or a predisposition to have a skill. Now, a skill and a strength are different things. A skill is something that you can develop through repeated actions, right? So you could technically not have a strength or a predisposition to something, but if you train the skill enough, you can develop that, right, as a skill, but not necessarily as a strength. So, for instance, I always like to use this, like even when the Olympics, where, some of these people, you can tell they worked really hard, but, a lot of them, let's be honest, like they have some genetic gifts, right? They have some strengths, they have some kind of, things that are mutations of sorts. They're things that make you have an edge of, if you just have no skill or no training ability at all. So there are 4 major themes of these strengths or talents that we're going to get into today. So you'll see executing, influencing, relationship building, and strategic thinking. And each of those themes are really applied well with teams. So here's something about Strengths Finder that makes it different. It makes this more of a professional assessment, is that these strengths really only work in the context of a team. And so today we're going to highlight and really spend the bulk of this training really highlighting what are some of the strengths of our team. How can we maybe utilize some of those strengths or reach out to certain people. I think it was about a month or so ago we had a training with Tom Cotter, and I think one of the questions, if I'm not mistaken, that he asked is, who can help me solve this problem? It was something to that effect, I believe. And that's really what this is about, because I know I've found working on many teams, doing sales, that certain people on the team are just better at certain things. And it's better if you know what those things are and you have, conversations about that. So we're going to open up some conversations in just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and do a little demonstration of mine first, just to kind of give a little bit of a framework. And then I'm going to go ahead and invite a handful of different leaders that I've reached out to just come on. And I'm going to ask a few questions and just kind of help understand, how these strengths are already showing up for you in your business and in your life, right? I think with a lot of these types of tests, you find things out about yourself, but then you don't, maybe if you don't share it, or if you don't really apply it, it kind of just, falls away. So let me just go ahead and share mine and kind of demonstrate. So first of all, like I mentioned earlier, my number 1 strength out of 34 different strengths is restorative. So it means I'm adept with problem solving, figuring out what's wrong and resolving it. Now, with every single strength comes a converse, weakness, meaning that if you're really good at problem solving, one of the weaknesses, as an example, is that I have a tendency to be overly critical or focus on the negative. Now, this is something I've had to work with, especially dealing with project managers or different people on the team who maybe don't have that secondary strength of activator, which is I get shit done. Bottom line, if you want somebody to get something done, I'm one of the top people to get it done. And so if you kind of pair those things together, it can actually cause pressure on other people in the organization or make them feel like they're not doing their job, right? So I've had to then look at some of these strengths and go, okay, this is a great strength, but how do I make sure that this strength isn't, hurting or harming the rest of the team? How do I kind of utilize this strength in a way that's, net positive? And so just be aware that every single strength that you have, if you really dig into the profile and you go through and listen to the audiobook, basically each chapter is about 3 to 6 minutes of audio in depth on each of the strengths. So once you take the test, just, get the audiobook, go to that chapter that has your top 5 strengths and listen to those. And then on top of that, share these with people, share these with, your spouse or partner, if you have one, share these with some of your top leaders on your team, open up these conversations. Number 3 and 4 for me is learner and input. You know, I'm a wealth of knowledge. The input side of me is kind of like a human database of information. If it comes to anything, you know, human performance or home performance related, which are really broad categories, I have an archive. It's kind of like, you know, I have a physical database, but then I also have just a lot of it stored up in my head. And then the last one is achiever. So achiever, real quick to highlight, I'm going to kind of dovetail this into the next share, which are 2 rock stars on our team, Jonathan Brunasso and Cynthia Alvidrez. So achiever types, activator types, those 2 strengths in particular, as well as maybe competition, those strengths lend themselves to being top performers. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean if you don't have those strengths, you cannot be a top performer. But what it means is that by, you know, nature, naturally, you're actually going to achieve at higher levels than other people without necessarily trying. And so when you understand these different strengths, how to utilize them, it's really going to be like, what does your day-to-day look like? So, you know, I'll share a bit about that, and then we'll transition over to those 2 leaders that I mentioned. But for myself personally, you know, some of the strengths and weaknesses I have in my top 10 strengths, I don't have any relationship building strengths. All of my relationship building strengths are in the bottom 30% of my strengths profile, which is kind of weird being a high performance salesperson. But it is what it is. Like, you have to look at some of your strengths, maybe work on some of those that you need to improve on, but then also just lean into what it is that makes you so great. And so on a day-to-day, I am consuming information like crazy. My learner input, you know, I'm consuming 1 to 2 hours of audio minimum a day. I read 1 to 2 books or audiobooks every month for the past, you know, 15 years. I attend 3 to 4 seminars every single year. I've been to all the Tony Robbins events, Dave Asprey, Brendan Burchard. I mean, a lot of these different people. And so that's really for me. I don't have a lot of relationship abilities as much to connect. When I connect with people, it's kind of to nerd out about this kind of stuff. So if you do want to connect, I would love to nerd out about this stuff with you guys. But I'll go ahead and shift to this next part. So take a look at your screen, guys. These are some of your leaders right here. Notice right away, level 1, achiever. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but this wasn't a huge surprise to me, right? And achievers, what makes, you know, an achiever really interesting is that, you know, they can achieve great things and they're kind of put up on a pedestal at times. They're seen as a shining example. They oftentimes raise the achievement of the rest of the team. But achievers also have their own sets of weaknesses. Sometimes achievers can achieve from places that aren't as healthy. I'm not necessarily saying that that's always the case, but it can be, right? It can be from a place of lack or from a place of, you know, some sort of a negative belief system that actually drives them to achieve and constantly achieve. But to summarize an achiever, you probably wake up in the morning. So I'm going to ask you guys in just a sec. So get ready to unmute yourselves. But we'll start with Cynthia. So I'm going to just kind of take a quick look at your profile here and make a bet that, well, first of all, Cynthia, you have the perfect top seller profile. You have achiever, activator, and empathy. I can't think of a better top 3 for a top performer. So, oh, there we go. Thank you for meeting that. And then, yeah. And so I'm just curious, Cynthia, if you would unmute yourself and just share a little bit, you know, is this accurate for you, or how does this show up in your life?
Yeah, you know, it's really funny. I expected Achiever to be in the top 5. I was slightly disappointed that it was number 1. I know that sounds weird, but I do tend to have to hold myself back from just achieving a bunch of stuff and focus on these smaller things. And so I find myself constantly like bringing myself back to focus on family, on the things that are important and are more fulfilling than just achieving. And that's always been a struggle. And I think it comes definitely from having a childhood where there was a lot of lack, not feeling good enough, that kind of thing. I'm always like overachieving and wanting to make sure, like, I think subconsciously it's like making others proud, making myself proud now. And so, yeah, the achiever, I like Jonathan's actually. I would love to have like significance in there. I think that that's pretty cool. I think I'm always looking for significance in my work. Activator, number two, I get a lot of shit done. I'm getting my nails done right now. I've been up since 5 a.m. I've gotten so much done. By the time people wake up, I've probably done 15 to 20 things. So yeah, I would say it's pretty accurate. Um, Empathy, I've always known that, I have a lot of empathy. I'm a very like emotionally driven person. I love watching like happy videos. Um, those kind of things are like a part of my day, or connecting with friends. Like I feed off of good energy from my friends, talking to them every day, FaceTiming with them. And so like those kind of things are really fulfilling.
Awesome.
So
Thank you for sharing. Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I think, I think of really like two main ways we use this in our business. And I'm going to really focus on the business side of things, just because I think that's going to, bring a little more value, and that's what matters to me here. So in terms of the value to your business, I know that obviously you've been a top seller. I know personally we've talked, and you've, started building a team, and that's kind of been a new thing. And so I guess just a piece of, feedback just on this, I would recommend keep doing what you're doing. Obviously that's awesome. Lean into those strengths as always, and then on top of that, with your team, typically how achiever activator types, empathy is great too, but typically how these types lead teams is really from leading from the front. And that's one of the beautiful things about being a sales leader, is that you can actually use those strengths to make that impact that you want to make and have that significance. And so that's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Cynthia. JB, we'll jump into yours here. So real quick, absolutely. Yeah, we look at you, JB, and it's, they're incredible. It makes sense why you're one of the top, and I'm not even one of the top, you are the top, right? Team builder on the platform. And so that achiever mixed with relator, that is a really unique combination. I don't know the exact number, but with 34 different strengths, there's virtually unlimited permutations of rank order, meaning that every combination of ranking is going to be different for every single person. And JB, you have a really unique, especially with that competition, you've got that competitive edge. Again, a really kind of coveted top seller position, but your relator being so strong at number two really makes sense. I've heard you say so many times on calls, you love working with friends and enrolling people in your life into what you're doing. And you're really good at that. I've experienced that with you over the years. And so, yeah, if you want to just unmute yourself and maybe just share a little bit with the team, kind of how you see these strengths show up in your life and your business, just to kind of spur some ideas for the rest of the team.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, John. I think I took this 10, 15 years ago, and I think maximizer was one of them. But it's interesting now, I think 10, 15 years later, relator has woven itself in as I age and mature. On the achiever front, man, if I don't exercise during the day, I don't feel like I accomplished something. Like if I don't accomplish many things, then I don't feel productive for that day. And even when I do, probably 5 times more than someone else, I still don't feel like I achieved something for the day. And so, with every strength and gift comes a little bit of a shadow or an opportunity, right? So I'm more mindful and wise of that over the years, where it's okay to give myself grace. It's okay to find balance. It's okay to take a day off. If you don't do those things, like life will humble you, your body will humble you. You can't have 3 caffeine drinks a day, hit the gym, play pickleball, work 10 hours, sleep 6 hours. You cannot do that for 1 or 2 weeks in a row. Trust me, I try. And so you have to be aware of those things and find balance, for someone with these traits, right? And so achiever in competition, if you beat me in pickleball, I will figure out a way to beat you, or I will take training until I can match you. And then I will want to beat you. Like there's just no other way. Like if you're doing something better, I want to learn how. And I will take you out to lunch and get to know you, and then I will destroy you. I'm just kidding. But that's just how I am, man. I love getting into things. And relator, relationships are like what matter the most, you know, and like getting to work with you and Tom and Rick and Cynthia here and people I've known 10, 15 years and my family and friends. And like, I couldn't have dreamt up something so amazing in this position. And so it's really neat to see Relator is in there. I'm very responsible and disciplined. And sometimes I like to have a partner that's more relaxed or more go with the wind. And even though my tendency to control and organize is so strong, sometimes I have to give that grace and recognize, hey, it's good to have differences. I actually need that. And I need to sometimes work on my, communication and in order to have that flourish with my people. And sometimes like I'll be too hard on someone. Oh, I just sold one deal. That's cool. I just sold 4 and they're all bigger than yours. Like I used to do that. And so I have to take a step back and just give praise and acknowledgement because I am so, competitive and demanding sometimes. So it's very, very interesting. I can't wait to study this more.
I love it. Thank you
If
for
I
that.
could say something really quick too, knowing Jonathan, it's really cool to see. Like I had just complimented him on relating to people, having conversations. I see his intentionality when he's in a room trying to connect with people. So seeing him change over time, having known him for a while, it's funny when I saw his strengths, I was like, oh yeah, that's him. So it's really cool to look at other people.
Thank you. Yes, I agree. And that's why we're doing this because it's so cool. I love reading through all yours, like getting deeper into it. And I just want to kind of back up and say one thing real quick. So like I said about mine, my top 10, I don't even have any relationship building themes in any of my top 10 strengths, which is kind of wild. And one of the things that's crazy is if you look at my number 4, it says you have the need to collect, archive, and accumulate information, ideas, artifacts, or even relationships. Out of all of my top 10 strengths, that's probably my most relationally oriented skill or theme. And that's because I collect relationships. Kind of sounds like a weird thing. But for me, I see all of your strengths, all of you guys as amazing. And for me, it's like I'm amazed by the uniqueness. But for me, I've struggled with that. And that's, for me, one of the themes about relationship building is that you're good at keeping teams together. I can deliver a ton of value in other ways. I've definitely struggled with keeping, my own teams together, kind of keeping consistency, cohesion, communication, some of those things I really struggle with. And so it's good to know what your strengths are, like Jonathan Brunasso was saying, because you can also know how do you actually compensate for some of those weaknesses. Now, again, you still want to primarily focus on your strengths and finding balance, like JB said, where if you're an achiever type, which, a lot of the top performers have that in their top 5. Yeah, you do need to find balance. You do need to find how to mix in other things in your life because you can apply these strengths to a lot of different areas, right? Whether it's pickleball or winning the summer sales competition that he's done a couple of years in the past, right? So these are just different ideas for how you can implement. Let's get into some of these others so we can wrap it up here. So Owen Carey, I was talking to him last night, brother. In just a second, I'll have you unmute yourself. But we were actually talking, and I said, maybe we have some of these strengths in common. We actually have no strengths in common. And my adaptability is number 34 for me. So he's the literal exact opposite person of me, which is interesting because I was not expecting that. And so with his set of strengths, let me just make a quick comment. I'll have him share. So one of the things that I noticed a lot about his profile, and if you kind of dig in deeper and you go to gallup.com after you take the test, you can pay, I think it's like $50, $60, and you can get the full profile, and it'll show you based upon your unique combination, how you lead people effectively. So as an example, for my profile, I lead people through strategic thinking. And that's something that me and Owen Carey, as well as Tom Cotter, I think actually have in common, is if you look at kind of the comparison between these two, which have a lot more influencing and executing, and these ones that have more strategic thinking and some relational and executive skills as well. So there's kind of unique combinations here. But Owen, if you want to unmute yourself, I'd love to hear just a couple minutes. How does this show up in your life?
No, it totally makes sense on the adaptability. I mean, that's been my life story. I mean, I haven't told most people, but I'm extremely dyslexic. So I use both sides of my brain. I had a lot of trouble in school. It was actually kind of crazy. I graduated college and, worked really hard to get where I am. I was surprised to see a ranger, but I think that makes some sense. And ideas. I love philosophies. I love talking to other people, other smart people that are strategic. I don't necessarily love talking to people that just come in with the hustle and just want to make a quick buck. I want to hear their ideas, how we can work together. So that one makes perfect sense. And for me, it's all about strategy. I hate to overuse it, but I don't like checker mindset. I like the chess mindset of like, how are we going to build something to keep growing and growing? So that's always my mindset on my losses. I know Cynthia and Bernasso, they want to win every deal, right? For me, if I lose a deal, why did I lose a deal? What's the positive that comes from this? What can I learn from every situation? Is my typical mindset.
I love it, man. Yeah, in my experience with you, we've had some long conversations, and I love we both have a lot of that strategic thinking, and yeah, and I think that's necessary on the team because some of those strategic thinking, again, maybe on the team they have a lot of other executive abilities or team building, things, but you got to have that strategist or some of those strategists on your team to help come up with an effective strategy because it's really, I would say people like us, right? But people like us who kind of give the strategy from the top down to everybody else who implement some of those strengths. So they all have their place and their how they're used. We'll switch to Tom. Really, again, amazed. I'm collecting an amazing collection of we'll call you guys mutants if you're okay with that. All right now, but you're X-Men power. So before I jump into yours, Tom. So this idea of your X factor, I kind of skipped this in the beginning, but I want to interject this real quick here before I have you share, Tom. So your X factor in business is what is that thing that makes you different and unique? And if you're dealing with whether it's your team, whether it's a potential client, right? Whether it's someone in your family, in your personal life, the way you show up is unique, and that's your X factor. And I think a lot of times in business, you see or hear these different, you got to draw up your business plan, and you got to have this, and, a lot of those things are very important, but really the culture of your business begins with the culture of the leader, and the culture of the leader comes from how you show up. And so with these strengths, you can kind of really get some indication, some idea of how do you show up. And then also when you're partnering with other people in your leadership, how do I partner with people who maybe have some of those, like for instance, relationship building? It was a really big stretch for me to come onto a platform that focuses more on enrollment than it does necessarily high performance sales. Not that we don't focus on that here, but enrollment is a big part of it, right? That's been a big critique of the Powur model. And as somebody who doesn't have a lot of relation building skills, it was like, well, why would I join this platform? This doesn't really, it's like it didn't really make sense to me for a long time. Even after years of talking with JB. But anyways, with you, Tom, I've, again, never seen this unique kind of profile. Quite amazing. How does this show up for you in your life?
How the heck did I build a team with this? I don't know. No, it was interesting. I read a book this year called The Anxious Achiever, and it's a really interesting book, and the author talks about how anxiety can be like a superpower for business people. And I think that some of these can kind of play into that, being deliberative, analytical, thinking through things that are going to happen, that could happen. Like even like planning out this training that everybody's on right now. Jonathan has responsibility, so he's going to plan ahead, but I'm the one that is like, okay, let's come up with like a training curriculum so that we make sure that we hit all the different kinds of topics that we should be covering, right? The flip side of that is, with deliberative analytical comes, I think, because I haven't got through the book yet, but I would guess perfectionism and being sometimes paralyzed by overthinking things, or just rather than taking action in my business, thinking about taking action in my business, or thinking about all the different things that I could do, all the different strategies. So, I like that deliberative is number one there, because it helps me remember that, planning and execution are important. Be deliberative about how I'm spending my time.
I love it. Yeah, and I look at your profile, and as you go a little bit deeper and kind of dig into it, like I said, you and Owen have similarities to my profile, where you lead people and build a team more through strategic thinking. That builds it builds trust. People probably, I don't know you very well, but just from what I've seen and just looking at this profile, I would imagine you to be a kind of person that inspires really, really great levels of trust. And people who have that strategic thinking ability, and when it's really developed, people trust your analytical, your intellect, your decision-making process probably a little bit more than somebody who is a high activation or high achiever, because maybe like Owen said, that they're so focused on the achievement and closing the deal and getting the recognition, that people see that, right? People see that, they feel that. And for certain personality types, right, they're not going to actually feel that trust, and they're not going to feel maybe that psychological safety, because a lot of times those achiever activator types, yeah, they can inspire people, but they can also intimidate people, right? They can be a little bit too intense. And so, again, just beautiful, the uniqueness in your strengths profile. A couple more here, and I know we're past the hour, but let me just wrap this up. So Zachary Bach, again, don't know this gentleman at all, still pretty new to the team. But really right off the bat, one of the things that caught my eye that I've never seen is your top 3 strengths being influence. I don't know if Zach's on the call, but in just a second, if he is, I'll have him on mute. So when I look at this profile, incredible influence ability is what it looks like. Again, I don't know him. Maybe if he's not on the call, or whoever, if he is, he can share about this, but also mixed with positivity and belief. Dude, is this guy just like a diamond or something? He probably shines like crazy. I think I've seen some pictures. I mean, he seems pretty shiny to me, but looking at this strengths profile, wow, what a shining example. Positivity and belief, basically people who have these types of strengths profile, they're really led by mission. Same with Tracy. I kind of tried to pair them together a little bit. Both of these profiles are driven. So people who are like high achiever activator, they have some of these other executive or influence abilities. They don't necessarily have to do it for a mission that they believe in. It doesn't necessarily mean that they don't. Like, I found my way into a career where I also do get to live into my belief a little bit with solar and what we do. But for these people who have belief in their top 5, it's a requirement. They won't even look at an opportunity if it doesn't align with their beliefs and values. So usually really integrous people. Zach, are you on the call? I don't think he's on the call. If anyone wants to share about Zach, is this really Zach? Is this the guy? Anyone know Zach closely?
Zach's incredible at team building and being on a stage and leading and being an Eagle Scout and being positive, even when chips are down or, whatever the case is. And he continues to lead in that way and give feedback. He's passionate, but he's positive. And this really does kind of explain why I think he is a good team builder and leads his team. Because he shines bright, like you said, and people are attracted to that.
Yeah. Thank you for that. No, yeah, I mean, incredible. I'm looking forward to meet him. I've never met him, don't know him, but yeah, he sent me this and I was really blown away. I love this stuff. I get a kick out of this stuff. So Tracy Canoni, I think I saw you on. Let me highlight you for a second. So futuristic people, I would love talking with you about all the amazing tech and biohacks and cool things that are coming in the future. Would love to chat with you maybe at Powur World if we get the chance. But yeah, futuristic profile. These people personally, I enjoy having really deep conversation with. A lot of that belief, a lot of executive skills. So that's also a big highlight. You have a really, 3 of your top 5 being execution. So you're, really good at making things happen. I would imagine you've got that restorative on number 5, which is my number 1. We probably have some commonalities there. But Tracy, just unmute yourself if you can and share, how does this show up in your life?
Well, honestly, it was very interesting because, you know, you feel that you are a certain way, but then when you do these kind of charts, you're like, okay, I actually resonate with what they're saying, but you don't really put it forefront. But when I look at my past and how I've grown as a person, or, you know, throughout my career and life, I'm like, oh yeah, I do kind of resonate to these aspects of my life. And now I can focus more on, you know, what I am kind of lacking, and then what I am really, you know, thriving in, which is execution. I didn't know I was doing that.
Yeah. No, right. It's awesome. It's like you sometimes, it was the same for me. Like I would never have guessed I don't have any relationship building skills in my top 10 because I have to build relationships every day with my job. However, once you look at it, actually, for me, it was kind of a relief because I felt almost like I had to be good at building relationships to do my job. And I think sometimes, you know, we hold certain expectations of ourselves internally, maybe, you know, from a long time ago or wherever they came from. And once you look at some, I don't know, for me, I don't know if you experienced this, Tracy, but sometimes when you look at some of these things, you kind of get relieved. You're like, oh, cool. I don't have to be good at all of these different things. Like I can just be really good at solving problems or really good at sharing my beliefs and values with others. And that actually makes a real impact, you know? So anyways, these are just things to think about. We're already 7 minutes past the hour, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. But thank you all for sharing. Like I said, I could do a few hours on this stuff and just highlighting and doing a little bit more of sharing back and forth. But if you haven't taken the Clifton Strengths Finder test, there's two ways to do it. One, you can just go to gallup.com and you can pay the full price for the test. I believe it's about $50. Or if you want to get a discounted version, you go to audible.com. You download the Strengths Finder 2.0. The audiobook automatically will send you an email to your email associated with your Amazon account. And you click on that link and you take the test. So the book's like $14. You take the test. It's a 30-minute test. It's timed. It's not going to take more than that. It has to be less than 30 minutes. And then you're going to get those results. And once you get those, let's keep this conversation going. Keep sharing them in the Power Hitters group. Share them with your family. And because the more you share, the more it solidifies what these strengths are, and you're going to get that feedback. Because sometimes, you know, we go out into the world and we have this perception of how other people see us, but until we get feedback, that's when we really find out who we are, right? And this is just a feedback mechanism to find out, you know, who you are and how do you use these strengths in your business. Just to wrap it up, we already talked about this at the beginning, but I'm really excited to give one of my, I would say my best keynote speech that I have to date. It's about a 50-minute speech. I delivered it at SolarCon at the Referral Boot Camp. I've personally generated over 7 figures in commission just off of referral business in my career. I've taught many reps how to do 6. I've had a couple of reps do 7 figures with the systems that I teach. So guaranteed value, even if you've been doing solar for a while. You know, I guarantee if you come, you're going to get, you know, at least 1 or 2, if not more, gold nuggets that it's going to turn into immediate business, right? So that could be $5,000, $10,000, dollars in your pocket. So if you live anywhere nearby the area, make the trip down. Myself, JB, David Steele, we're going to be, rocking it, delivering some amazing value. Obviously, bring someone with you, like Jarrett said. Don't go to the prom alone. And make sure, if you know anybody in this space, even if they're not full-time solar, part-timers, somebody who wants to learn, because the solar referral business is really intended to be how I think the future of solar is going to look, right? People aren't going to do business with door knocking long-term, although I love door knocking. They're not going to do it with a ton of online lead generation, obviously super low quality, low conversion shoppers. Referral business is where it's at. This is the secret sauce. I've got it. I'm looking forward to giving it to you guys. Hopefully we can do a live stream. I'll see if we can coordinate that and figure out if we can stream that portion. So that way, it's recorded and you guys can watch if you can't make it, but be there in person. I would love to meet you guys in person. But thank you guys so much for your time and attention today. Let's go ahead and apply our strengths and go out and crush.
Thank you, Jonathan. Give him some love in the chat, guys. Such a cool wealth of experience, up and coming leader with Powur, not new to the industry, 13, 14 years, whatever it is now. And I can't wait for the training this Saturday. if you haven't taken the Strengths Finder, guys, I mean, this was just an ounce of what we can learn and learn more about ourselves and share with our colleagues as we all grow this team better and better. So thank you, Jonathan. Much love in the chat here for you. And I know we're going to hang out with some of these awesome people this Saturday at Powur headquarters. So I'm going to say we could probably stop the recording for now. I think we have 15 minutes to hang out. But if you have to hop off, go crush the week. Look forward to seeing some of you guys Saturday and attend your market development meetings. Do the People's Choice Awards, Andrea Butt Award, and try to attend a Powur Day this Saturday. People, have an amazing week.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, guys.